Think about the last time you hired somebody, a contractor, a consultant, a service provider. You probably Googled them first. Then you entered their LinkedIn profile. Maybe you looked at the posts they have there. And if you found nothing, how did that make you feel? That hesitation you felt. Can I trust this person? Can I trust this business? That's exactly what potential customers feel when they are searching for you. Your business, of course, has a brand, but you, as a owner, oftentimes have a brand as well. So whether you build one intentionally or not, you do have a brand. So today we're going to talk about that and how we can take control of that important piece of our businesses. So welcome to the Marketing Minute. My name is Peter DeWit, and with me today I have Andrew Rocha.
Thank you so much, Peter. It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, so thanks for coming out. And you are working as a community partnership manager at ATB. I have no idea what that means.
Yes, most people don't. The easiest way to explain it is a business development manager. Okay. So putting on events, going to events, figuring out what our clients in the community need, and then bringing that back to ATB and figuring out how do we create an action plan for the people within Central Alberta.
That's awesome. And you actually get paid for that?
I know. It's a miracle. So I'm enjoying it, and I won't ask too many questions.
No, exactly, right. But it's so smart, I think, for financial institutions such as ATB to really find out what happens on the ground level, right?
Correct.
Like what is actually going on with local businesses, with local people in the community. So that's really, really great. Now, the reason that you're on a podcast is not because you work at ATB in that role, but it's kind of connected. Mm-hmm. You're here today because you've done a very good job of building your own personal brand.
Well, thank you.
And I know you're still working on this, yes, but you've done a great job so far. So we'd love to find out a little bit more about your story. How do you get to that point?
Yeah, it's kind of ironic when you talk about a personal brand because it really comes down to the person of who you are. I think like you had just made a comment previously of you need to be your authentic self.
Yes.
And if you're not, people feel that.
Oh, totally.
And so the ironic part was right before we started filming, I went to a cafe here in Lacombe and started chatting with a few people that knew me because of my LinkedIn presence. 3 different individuals.
Right? That's crazy.
That I hadn't connected with before, but they've seen the things that I've done. And I think that's the true business card nowadays, is what people see online first, because that's usually where they're going to get to know you. Yeah. And then you start meeting them in real life and building a relationship.
Yeah, and I think you're so right, right? Like with all the digital stuff going on, I think personal relationships, relationships of trust are even more important now than ever before. And I don't think this will ever change, hopefully. Not until I retire in another 10 years or so. But no, seriously, I think people still buy from other people that they know, like, and trust, right? Yeah. So, and your personal brand, like you explained it, is actually an important factor for that. So, business development, I like that. That sounds a lot better than sales.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Well, and I think truly you're wanting to develop a relationship. I think sales has this terminology of being so transactional.
Yes.
Where you're trying to figure out what does your business really need and how do we elevate that? How do we move along that journey together?
Exactly, right. Yeah, and I love that distinction between transactional and relational. And we, with our team, we talk about that a lot as well. Mm-hmm. We really want to be a relational company that actually takes a long-term interest in the welfare of our clients. And that's very much the same for you as well, right? Yeah. Because then everybody wins.
Yeah, exactly. I think you see so many small businesses that focus so hard on the sales, and that's when they become a flash in the pan. But those that are willing to make those investments into their community, into their clients, that's going to be the long-standing relationships.
No, exactly, right? So nobody wants to be sold to. So relationships are super important. So today we're unpacking personal branding for small business owners, and not this celebrity version, right? You don't have to be Joe Rogan necessarily. Right? This is for down-to-earth business owners, like real people in Central Alberta and beyond. So how can you build that brand? How can you build that trust, attract the right clients, which is really important as well, and grow your business? So we'll cover what it actually means, why your business brand isn't enough, and most importantly, how to actually build a personal brand without it taking over your life.
Yes, that's important.
So let's get into it. So first question I have for you, Andrew, is what exactly is a personal brand, and do I actually need one as a small business owner?
I don't think anyone needs a personal brand, but it's going to set you apart. And what I mean by that is, like I said before, each individual, they are a personal individual. Everyone has their own story that makes them authentically theirs. Yeah. if I'm looking at different options for a business, say I'm going to go buy a vehicle, well, there's tons of car dealerships out there. But the ones that I connect with are the ones that are posting funny stories, that are engaging, that they're telling me information that I'm not gathering in other places. I'm likely going to be drawn to do business with them compared to somewhere else that all I see is Google reviews and nothing else beyond that.
Okay, interesting, yeah. And I also see a lot of people posting just their, like either a sales pitch or just basically, look how good we are, and the last deal we made, right?
Yes.
So, and although that, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but I always feel like, yeah, that's really great, but that's just not really, how does it relate to the problem that I'm trying to solve?
Correct. Yeah. And I think there's a good balance on that. Yes, you want to take those moments to acknowledge your wins that are happening in the business. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
But at the same point, we want to know who you are.
Yeah.
And so for myself, when I'm looking at posting things on LinkedIn or Instagram, wherever it might be, I'm looking at a holistic approach of, okay, does this involve family? And is it something that's going to be fun? Is this something that's motivational that people are going to be drawn towards?
Yeah.
Is this a learning piece where people are going to actually have tools that they can apply to their life? And so you're wanting to hit a wide array of topics that different people will engage with.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? Like, so, for example, like Edge has its own social media presence, of course, right? So we're working really hard on putting useful information out there. But then if I compare that to the personal profiles of our team,
right,
and not to brag or anything, but we get way more engagement on a personal level than ever with the corporate pages. So like can you explain that? Like, why would that be?
Yeah, there was a recent study that was done about CEOs that are active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And the trust that is gained from CEOs that are active on LinkedIn goes up, I believe it was 46%.
That's great, yeah.
And so individuals want a human connection.
Yeah.
They don't just want a corporate jargon. And I think, like you said, when there's people on your team that are engaging, it's their story.
Yeah.
And so what you and I might connect with might be different than what Bob or Lori or whoever out there is going to connect on. And so I think that's really powerful. Like, for example, for myself, I'm not a sports guy.
Okay.
If all of a sudden I start posting about the Oilers, people are going to know that there's something odd here.
Andrew, that's wrong. Like,
yes, but I think that's an important element, is to know who you are, and then that's the message that you're going to translate to the masses.
No, exactly right. So I'm not a sports guy either, but I happen to run half a marathon this weekend. So.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, well, thank you. But the thing is, like, that whole story building up to it, the training, some of my challenges along the way, it attracted a fair bit of interest from people, which kind of blew me away in some ways.
Yes.
But I think the people that I talk to, and I am not as popular maybe as you, but I do know a few people here and there. And when they say, hey, Peter, I actually, as a matter of fact, just coming into the office here after lunch, I had a person that I've known for a very long time said, yeah, Peter, I'm watching what you do on LinkedIn every week. And I go like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
Right? So it does work. But then for somebody that doesn't know you yet, the first time they meet you, they go like, yeah, this is Andrew. I know how he talks. I know how he behaves. I know his sense of humor.
Right.
And you either like it or you don't like it, but you know what you're going to get, right? So I think that's, I can completely relate to that. So you're saying you don't need one, but it's definitely an advantage.
Yes, I think it's a huge asset to have one.
Yeah.
And the individuals that don't have a personal brand, it's not going to be a make or break, but I think that you're losing the exposure that your business probably needs.
Exactly.
I think people want to connect with you.
Yeah, and especially now, I think within the AI world, everything digital, I think people are craving this personal connection, I think. And there's definitely room for that. So that's great. Okay, so that's fine. So we built a personal brand. So and it has to be. Does it have to be the owner necessarily, the CEO? Can it also be another member on the team?
Like, I think of for myself, I'm not the owner of ATB. I'm not the CEO of ATB.
You're not? Okay.
No, unfortunately not. I would love the A for ATB to stand for Andrew, but maybe one day.
Andrew Treasury Branch. Yeah,
Yes,
I like it.
Yeah, I think it has a good ring to it. But I'm an employee. And I think that people relate to me because I'm here in Central Alberta. My family is doing life here. I want to support good causes. And that creates a huge momentum. So if there's someone on your team that you feel like, hey, this person has pull, they have influence, how do you unlock that? How do you give them kind of the keys and permission to do so?
Yeah.
And maybe there's some constraints on that.
Yeah.
But let's see how they can be a bit creative.
No. Yeah, exactly, right? Because, like at Edge, we're very much like a team. So everybody on the team deals with their own clients. There's no hierarchy necessarily. Of course, Informally there is, but
Yep.
in day-to-day stuff there's not. And yeah, I really encourage everybody on our team to say, hey, like for a long-term relationship that you are building with these clients, it's really important to build your personal brand as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
because that's something that you own, right? Okay, so how does building a personal brand actually translate into more customers and revenue? Because ultimately, like we're in business for a reason, for a lot of reasons, but without profit or growth, it's really hard to run a business. How do you look at that?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I had been doing these events for real estate investor networks for past 18 months or so. And I had an individual come to one of our events in the summer, really enjoyed it, liked it, connected. And I thought, okay, this person's probably going to bring their mortgage over to us.
Yeah.
They ghosted me. A couple months go by, they come to another event. I'm like, okay, this is it. We're going to build this relationship. Again, nothing happened. I was like, okay. They follow me on Facebook, follow me on LinkedIn. Like, who knows what's going on in their life?
Yeah.
More months go by, and then I launch my podcast. And he listens to the first episode, and I don't talk anything banking related in there. No. But he's like, I could tell that you're the real deal. I want to bring over my business. Yeah. So within that month, we brought over his mortgage. Then he starts referring people to us, and he's become an incredible lead generator for us because he saw, you're talking about things that are authentic to you. I trust you now. I have this joint relationship, even though we've never actually sat down for a conversation like this.
No, that's amazing, right? So then I think that's, again, that goes back to the trust factor, which is really important. Yes. And also that takes some time then, right? Like it doesn't go overnight.
Yes. Yeah, you're constantly investing, whether you know it or not. And then there's the compound effect of it, whether it's your finances or whether it's relationships with people.
No, that's so interesting because, like we have, I have people too that follow me. I know they follow me. They comment occasionally on what I post. But there's actually never really a business transaction has originated from that contact. And but eventually, I'm the same way. I'm optimistic that eventually, if they have a choice between somebody they know, like, and trust, in this case being me, with another provider, I have a slight advantage.
Yes. So. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I think the one differentiator that I find for people is I've seen others that create a personal brand, but they never actually follow up with an ask. And I think it's okay to have an ask at some point.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
Because what I can see that takes place is they might be following two people in the same industry.
Yeah.
And one person asked them and the other person didn't.
Yeah. Okay,
and so it's being strategic of where do you place that in the relationship.
Well, that's a very good point, Andrew. I really love that because that's almost the flip side of just giving. Right. And don't dare to ask the hard questions. But let's face it, like you're solving a problem for your client.
Correct.
And you want to help as many clients as you can, right? Solve that same problem. But you have to do it the right way, so nobody wants to get sold to. Yeah. But I've heard somebody say, like on social media in general, like it's 80% deposit.
Yes.
And 20% withdrawal, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
But even I would say even that is maybe on the high side because if anytime I talk about, even promoting something that I actually don't really make money off, the engagement goes low, goes quite a bit lower than just the general story. So.
Yeah, and I think what's happening there is individuals, they may not be ready to buy the product at that point, so that's why the engagement lowers.
Yeah.
But the people that are engaging, they're the ones that are ready. They've been sitting on the sidelines saying, hey, I have this decision that I need to make. There's this philosophy I've taught my kids is you have not because you ask not.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes they have an idea of what they want, but they haven't made the ask. And so my daughter, she lost her first tooth and so wrote a letter to the tooth fairy and asked for $100, please. Yeah. The tooth fairy dad is not going to give her $100. Yeah. But you know what? I had a conversation with my wife and we upped it a little bit more than what we probably were going to at first. Yeah. And so I think that's the important thing is she knows, okay, I had to make an ask and then I see what's going to come from there.
Okay, exactly, right? Like knocking the door will be opened, correct?
Yes, yeah, correct.
So now we know why it matters, but how do you actually go about building one? Like, especially when you're already running a business, and a lot of business owners that we deal with are extremely busy already. Yep. Another problem is they don't always want to be in the spotlight. So deal with the first one first.
Yeah, how do you build one? I think you just start. You start taking action. And so a good example is today, I filmed a couple quick little things as I'm walking through the door, and I'm going to share that on my social media afterwards so people know what I'm doing today, and then I can help promote this podcast. Yeah. But for a long time, it was me biking back and forth to the branch, and every day I would record a video of myself talking about a different financial piece of advice. Yeah. I did that for a year, And consistently every week, someone would ask me a question about finances. And it was just a simple, I like biking. I like talking about finances. Let's merge the two. I'm already doing this.
Yeah.
And so I'm just habit stacking, and I'm not adding a new thing onto my life. And I think that's the best way that people can create any good habit in their life, is to stack it on something that you're already doing.
Okay, well, that's very good advice, I think, right? And how long does it take to develop the habit?
So typically they say that it takes 3 weeks to break a habit, 3 weeks to start building a habit, and then 3 weeks for it to solidify as a habit.
Okay, so 9 weeks in total.
9 weeks in total for it to actually be solidified that you're going to do this on a consistent basis.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting, right? So, and I think that's so true, but that's so hard, right, for a lot of people.
Right.
9 weeks is a long time. So where do I actually start, though? Like, to go really practical here, like which platform should I focus on to build this brand?
Yeah, and I think that depends on your business, of who you're going after. For myself, I'm focusing a lot on business owners, professionals, and so obviously LinkedIn, it makes the most amount of sense for me to invest time into. Yeah. But if there's someone that's in the trades, that there's something very visual, I think Instagram can be a great platform. You could look at YouTube, maybe it's Pinterest. Like, there's so many different things, and figure out what platform actually excites you, that you're going to be engaged with, but then where are your potential clients?
Yeah, and I think that's so important, right? And that's oftentimes overlooked, I think. Like we call it random acts of marketing.
Right.
We try to do all these different things. I see that a lot, right? And somebody else is on TikTok, so automatically we need to go on TikTok as well. But I'm not sure how you feel about this, but I feel like if you can do one channel really well, instead of doing like 5 channels like half-fast. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. It's funny because, like, for my own podcast, you have the long-form content that you can split into short-form content.
Yes.
So I can post that anywhere.
Yeah.
I know at the end of the day, even though I have it posted everywhere, LinkedIn is going to be my primary focus.
Just because of your audience.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll post everywhere else, but I'm really focusing my efforts and tailoring it to that LinkedIn demographic.
Yeah, I know that makes total sense, right? So then you're repurposing, you're reusing some of that same content in the different channels. Yeah, and that's a really valuable tip as well. Yeah. Because it takes a lot of time to develop content, right?
Yes.
Like what we're doing right now is actually creating content.
Correct.
Like we base a blog post on this. We probably have a webinar on the same topic. So, because that's the number one challenge that a lot of business owners have, I think, too. How do you come up with ideas? And we're going to talk about it a little later. But to have this consistent stream of information, like in a healthy stream, don't overdo it, right? And that's another thing. Not sure if you've seen people do this, make this mistake. They start really strong. Right, they post 3 times a day sometimes, and then it kind of goes down once a day, and then maybe once a week.
Yes.
And like you're depleting all your sources, and that's just not really the right way to approach it, right?
Yeah, like I currently have a backlog of podcast episodes that I probably can last another 6 months.
Yeah.
And if anything were to happen to me, they would still continuously post. Yeah. And no one would know anything has happened to me because I have that backlog.
Yeah, you could go away for 6 months and nobody would notice.
Correct. Which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Yeah, no, I know. So that's another piece of advice, I think. So thank you for confirming this, is to repurpose content, but also try to find out what form of content it works the best for you, right?
Yes.
Now, we've struggled with this ourselves and tried to figure this out. And we found out that most people can talk about what they do on a daily basis quite easily for 30 minutes.
Right.
Well, 30 minutes of content turns into 10 pages of content.
Correct.
That could be dispersed in all kinds of different formats, right? So
yes. Yeah. And like, you can use it in so many different ways. Like you said, 30 minutes of content. That's probably a book. Like if you really actually work through it, and then you have multiple different blog posts that come from there. You have different tweets that are going to come out of it. So yeah, there's lots of content there.
So then another problem is, like we already talked a little bit about content, but like, what do I talk about, right? Like that's when we would introduce this idea to our clients, they would go like, well, I don't know. I have nothing interesting to talk about. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think I probably have one of the more boring industries, banking. People have been told you don't talk about money, you don't talk about God, you don't talk about sex. Well, I'm talking a lot about one of those topics. And I think even though you may not find what you are doing is interesting, other people do. Yeah. People are craving knowledge. They're craving authentic relationship of someone who can distill this information. Yeah. Yes, I could go on ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever AI platform is and learn this, but that might not be how I resonate and how I learn.
Yeah.
I want someone that has a similar personality to me
Yeah.
or reminds me of an older brother figure or whatever it might be
for
that can distill that and teach me in a fun, creative way.
Yeah, so people need a guide oftentimes, right? And everybody learns in a different way. But I think most people are probably visual, audible learners.
Yes.
You know, not many people I know actually read a book from cover to cover and study it anymore, right? And especially your generation, I think there's a lot going on. So like consuming content through video or to audio is are very popular choices. So what are some of the, like for a small business owner, how would you recommend we would structure those topics that we want to talk about? Like the official word sometimes we use is content pillars.
Right.
Which basically means categories of things that I should be talking about, because consistency is another thing, right?
Yeah.
If every time you listen to Andrew and has a different, completely unrelated topic,
Yes.
right? Personal finance the one week, Edmonton Oilers the next week.
Yes.
People would go like, what's wrong here? Something is not quite right. I can't figure out what this guy is about. So what would you recommend? Like, how can we come up with some of those big picture topics?
Yeah, I think the two pillars when you look at content is typically education and entertainment. People are going online or doing anything in life really to either be educated or entertained.
Oh, okay.
And so for me personally, I love to try to marry the two as much as possible.
Yes.
And so I'll try to create a little bit of humor while educating. That might not be other people's personalities. And so say we're talking to a mechanic, for example.
Yeah.
I'm not a mechanic, so I shouldn't be talking about this. But maybe you're going to post a video of how to do an oil change or how to check your tire pressure or little things that for that individual, they think is common knowledge.
Yeah.
But for so many others, they have no clue how to do this, and it scares them.
Yeah.
And then they might be worried, well, if I teach someone how to do an oil change, they'll never come in to do an oil change.
No.
The reality is the majority of people will watch it and say, you know what, I'm going to send my vehicle to them because I don't want to do this.
No, exactly. Yeah, like you teach them how to do something, but then by the time you're done teaching them, a lot of people go like, well, I don't feel confident, or it's actually more difficult than I thought it would be, or all kinds of reasons, right?
Yes.
And there's a do-it-yourself component with everybody. Like some people that consume our content are do-it-yourselfers.
Right.
So they take what they learn from us and they apply it, and that's wonderful. I have absolutely no problems with that. But the large majority of our clients, small business owners, well, I run a successful plumbing company. Right. I don't really want to do some of the other things.
Correct.
Because I don't like it. I'm not very good at it. So we look for a provider, but then that provider is generally the person that they watch the videos or seen the presence that they believe, well, Andrew, he knows a lot about finances. Maybe why don't I talk to him? Right? Yeah, and that's exactly what we want as small business owners. So you don't need to be an influencer, right?
No, you don't need to be Mr. Beast. You don't need to be giving out $1 million.
Yeah,
I think people are craving that local connection.
Yeah, local connection, exactly, right? Like famous in, somebody had described it to me, being famous in the radius of 50 kilometers.
Yes.
And I think that's a really powerful strategy because honestly, for a lot of small business owners, that's the area that they work in, and there's more than enough business to go around. Yeah. It's just a matter of for them to stand out enough that people say, hey, there's so many choices. Let's phone this person because we like what he or she is doing online. Yeah. So a few ideas that I had, to kind of, if somebody gets stuck, you can say like, what are other people always asking? What are the recurring questions, FAQs that we get all the time, right? So if a lot of people are asking the same question, that's probably something that keeps people up at night. So why don't we talk about those things, right? Don't overthink the topics either, right? Like you said, like you on your bike with probably your camera in hand or something, is actually a really, really creative way of doing this. And don't worry so much about how sophisticated it looks, if the lighting is correct. I mean, sound should be decent, right? Yeah. Sound is number one thing that people are annoyed by, not so much video. But that's actually, with even the phone, is relatively easy to do. So, those are all good things. Now, we know a lot of you guys that are listening are thinking, well, this sounds great, and Andrew, he's a crack at this. He's really good at this, but I don't really want to put myself out there. Like I'd rather work behind the scenes. Let's talk about that. What would you recommend for people to overcome that fear? And we all have it, right?
Yeah, it's funny because naturally I'm an introvert. I don't love going out and meeting people. But something that I realized is we live in an extrovert society. Business is oftentimes very extroverted focus. And so there's a part of me that recognizes, okay, in this moment, I'm going to turn on that extroverted element of myself to connect and build those relationships. When I go home, I can go back to being an introvert, and that's okay. Now, that's something for me personally, what I've done. That might not be the best advice for every individual. I think for just the individual that's trying to figure out what can I do, it's maybe even talking to those that are around you of, hey, what do I do differently that I can stand out a little bit stronger? Maybe you're not comfortable doing a video and having your voice out there. Maybe focus on just writing content or whatnot, but get people familiar with what you're doing, or even just taking pictures of your day and posting that along with some captions.
Yeah, no, that's really, really important information, Andrew. I think you just need to be yourself, right? Like, don't try to be somebody that you're not. That's, I think, really good advice. But introvert, extrovert, I don't think it really matters. As a matter of fact, I think most leaders, most small business, successful small business owners have an introverted side to them. Contrary to popular belief, like I'm a total introvert myself. Like I can be extroverted, but I need, for every hour of being among people, I need 2 hours to decompress. But it's very typical, and so there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's actually that's actually a superpower. But that's good advice. So be yourself and start small, I think, as well, right? Like just come up with some ideas. Those questions that people ask a lot is a good starter, because again, we work with clients on their websites and blog posts, and if we ask our clients, could you please write something about your business? Could you please, write a draft blog post? We, generally speaking, don't get anything back, right? Because they're staring at a blank page. But then if somebody's asking a few questions about their business, they can talk for hours. Most of the business owners I know, right? So that's a really good way to kind of uncover the really important information. And you said for them, it's oftentimes, well, everybody knows how to change oil in a vehicle, right? Well, no, not at all, right? So and that makes it interesting. And I think behind the scenes, if people can see you're a real person, you have a real life, you're kind of like me, then we can relate to those kind of people. So personal branding and self-promotion. Some people will say, well, I don't want to promote myself too much, like I'm a pretty modest guy or person. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think that modesty translates. People recognize, hey, this person isn't trying to be boisterous. And I think that can be a difficult one for those that are a bit modest, of sharing some of their accomplishments. Maybe it's giving praise to other people, other businesses out there as well. For example, ATB, every quarter we give out awards for individuals that we recognize as called Everyday Heroes. So this morning I made a post recognizing the individuals in our Red Deer locations that received that award. It's not about me, it's putting the accolades on the other individuals. Well, that helps those individuals in our team feel really good. But it also helps for others to see, wow, this is an organization that really cares about their team members, and potentially for individuals that are looking for a career transfer over, they might see that recognition and be like, hey, that's potentially a team that I want to work for. How can I build that conversation? So maybe it doesn't have to be about you. How can you celebrate other individuals?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's so good, because that's what you brought up as well. Like as business owners, we oftentimes talk about finding new clients, right? But also, what about finding new staff and team members, right? It's a huge part of our job as well. So then one other thing pushback that I'm getting when you talk about these things, personal brand, is, what about your personal life, right? Like how much of your personal life do you share, and how much of your personal life should you guard? Right. So what are your thoughts around that?
Again, it comes down to the individual. I think the more authentic that you're willing to be, I think there's going to be more opportunities for individuals to connect with you. At the same point, you also have to recognize who your demographic is, and are there things that you want to be sharing. Like, do you want to be sharing date night with your wife? Maybe not. Maybe your wife doesn't want you to share that, and that's okay. And so having that conversation of what's suitable. I know for myself, last year, one of the more vulnerable things that I posted was my older brother who'd passed away. And just sharing. Thank you. And just sharing some of the emotions that went through in that journey, and just looking back and reflecting on our relationship. And that was something that for me, it was really personal, but I wanted to share that of those connections. And that so many other conversations came out of it that weren't necessarily business related, but it helped people feel like they knew me better.
Yeah.
And then down the road, that became a business relationship, but in no means was that intended to be so.
No, exactly.
It was just letting people into a certain side of myself.
Yeah, and for you, it was kind of an outlet to kind of share it with the world.
Correct.
To kind of process some of those emotions. So yeah, no, I think there's a fine line what you can share. You know, I did share a date night with my wife.
Okay.
But the punchline or the funny aspect I thought was funny was that we actually visited Home Depot. And I bought a tool.
Yes.
So anyway, this was around Valentine's Day. So, but then of course we did go out for supper afterwards and had a great time. But you know, I love your sense of humor as well. And then some people go like, well, that's actually, and even if you tackle a more serious topic, if you can infuse a little bit of humor in there.
Yes.
Self-deprecating humor is kind of my style. I just love taking punches at myself, and that's kind of how I process things, and that's just a personality thing. And some people go like, yeah, I can relate to that. I think that's makes you more real. Other people may be turned off by it, and that's okay too. Right?
Yes.
Because we can't please everybody. So then the other aspect of this whole personal branding thing is just the time commitment, right? Because we're busy running our business, finding clients, building the things that we're selling, providing the service. Like how can you manage that? Like how much time does it take you in this case? How much time do we expect to invest every week in this?
Yeah. And I think it comes back to that idea of the habit stacking of I came in today and as I'm parked my vehicle, I threw on my camera, shared 5 seconds. I'm going in here to film a podcast. Then I film me walking the door, film this little setup. Yeah. So I'll do a bit of a voiceover. Realistically, I'm doing it while I'm doing other things. Yeah. And then the voiceover is really the only element that's going to take additional time out of my day. Yeah. So when I look at this, 10 minutes maybe. Yeah. So is that worthwhile to do? I think it is going to be. Yeah. As you're starting, it's going to be a lot longer because you're building new habits, you're understanding the systems. Maybe you're not familiar with some of these things, and so there's a learning component.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But as you do it, it becomes rinse and repeat.
No, exactly, right. And then another trap that I fell for over the years is this perfectionism. We just want to make sure the sound is perfect, everything is just perfect, the script is perfect. But you know what? People don't really care about that so much, right? It's more about the contact, about the person that delivers it, and then if it resonates with them. So no, that's really good. So another question I have for you then, to kind of sum it up, like what are some of the components that goes into a strong personal brand? So it's the quality of content, right? It's the way it's delivered. Any other ideas about?
Yeah, I would say look to the individuals that you relate with most. So for myself, when I'm looking at different content creators, like there's one named Dan Martell. He does a lot about marketing AI.
I follow him actually,
Yes. Yeah. One of the interesting things, you look at his book cover, it's a shade of light blue. Every video he's in, he's wearing a T-shirt that's also a shade of light blue.
And showing off his amazing muscles.
Showing off his amazing muscles, yes. But he's been intentional he's trying to associate people with this shade of light blue. Yeah. And so that's something that he's done really well. There's another guy, Alex Hermosi. He's always wearing a tank top, huge muscles, and a baseball cap.
And what's the thing on his nose?
Yes, the breathing strips. Yes. And for whatever reason, that works for him. Yeah. People relate to that. So maybe there's certain elements that you can capitalize on that you can say, hey, this is what I'm known for. Yeah. It might not even have to be physical appearance. Like I think of Dave Ramsey, and he's known for kind of being that old grumpy guy that's going to give you that hard advice.
I know, right?
And you watch any of his clips, and that's consistently how he shows up, and that's okay because that's his personal brand.
No, exactly right. Dave Ramsey, I love his show too.
Yes.
It's again, it's a perfect example of education. Yep. And entertainment. Yes. Honestly, right?
Yeah,
so people on the show are super entertaining.
Yes.
But he has a really good message as well. So, but again, bringing it down to our level, this small town, Central Alberta, business people, we can learn from that, right? Being consistent, showing up, I think is important. So, and just be yourself. I think that's what I hear you say a lot. So then my last question to you is, okay, so I have built a following on LinkedIn, for example. I built this personal brand. How can I now bring this back to my business goals, my sales goals, my, whatever, building the business goals. Like how does that investment, because it's definitely investment,
Yes.
How does that relate to actually a return on that investment?
I think the first thing is, do you know what your business goals are? Oftentimes I'll talk to business owners or employees at companies and I ask, like, what are your 3 targets for this year? And they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And so I think if you don't know what it is, really figure out what are 3 things that you're going to focus in on and double down on that.
Yeah.
And so for myself, for this past year, it was young Albertans, it was business professionals, and it was homeowners.
Okay.
So I knew that those were my 3 target demographics.
Yeah.
So for young Albertans, I focus on building relationships with RDP. How can I build as much influence there with the professors, with the students, to bring that over, and they think of ATB anytime it comes to banking. For the young professionals, it was the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to build deep relationship there. I'm going to engage in every single one of their events. I'm going to post about all of their events. So that way they can trust me and build that relationship. And the homeowners, it was, I'm going to go after the real estate investors rather than first-time home buyers, because every other bank was focusing on first-time home buyers. Where if I went after real estate investors, there's no other banks that were focusing their efforts on there.
Smart.
And so it's figuring out what are your goals and then how do you make strategies around that. And that's where you're going to see it being really effective.
Yeah, well, that's really good. So you're taking the basic steps of really identifying who your ideal clients are.
Correct.
And then you create content and discuss things that may interest that group.
Yes, definitely. And then figuring out who are the key influencers for those individuals. And so partnering with them as much as possible. Because I think that if you can get buy-in from those individuals, then they're going to be promoting you, whether it's online or in person. And that creates a huge win-win.
Okay, so now how do you identify those influencers?
Yeah, for myself, it was going through and figuring out where are people congregating, whether it was virtually or in real life. And so luckily being in the Red Deer area, well, we have Red Deer Polytechnic. That's a huge win for young Albertans.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to spend a lot of time there. When it came to the real estate side, that's a little bit different. And so I looked at, okay, who are the voices online within Alberta that are speaking to these individuals, and what do I want to do to continue building relationships with them? And so for the one, it was, I'm going to be the co-host of an event that happens on a bi-monthly basis. And we're going to have these deep conversations that ended up growing. Our first event was held in my house. It was a reno that we were doing with 20 individuals, to it growing to about 120, 130 people attending each event because they saw what we were doing together. And so being really strategic of who are those individuals out there that have an audience and how do I partner with them.
Okay, that's really smart. So thank you so much for joining us today, Andrew. That's been very, very educational. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of the Marketing Minute. The big takeaway is simple. You already have a personal brand. The only question is whether you're building it on purpose or not. So start with one platform, share what you already know, and show up consistently. Trust takes time to build, and it's really easy to lose. But once it's there, it works for you around the clock, right? And we talked about that today. So if you have questions about personal branding or need help figuring out some of these things, we're here to help. You can find us on our website at marketing.ca. Of course, we're on social channels. And feel free to reach out anytime. Andrew, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, if you want to just connect, LinkedIn is the best spot to find me, Andrew Rocha. Or if you want to listen to the podcast, The Currency of Happiness, and we're on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify.
Wonderful. So thanks again. Make sure you subscribe to this so you don't miss a future episode. More real marketing insights designed specifically for small business owners like you. Until then, keep marketing forward.